Good morning, everyone. So, I decided to record another podcast. This one will be kind of story of my kind of diary of my last. Sorry, my alarm clock was ringing. I was saying that this first episode and this new podcast will be around the story of my last travel, my amazing travel in New York, and specifically different things that I did to find something that would have been linked to Pete Davidson, to this amazing guy called Pete Davidson. I don't know what the fuck, I'm so in love with him, but it's true. I'm obsessed. It's been several years I fall in love with him. I've been falling in love with him and I'm still doing. And now I'm just waking up after dreaming about him. And he was so near me. We were hugging in my dream. I was living in my parents' house and I don't know why, but this is amazing. I don't know if this is I could call amazing or it's terrible, because I don't know, I'm crying because I'm so happy that I dreamed about him and I could finally see him, reach him and touch him, and I could talk to him. But on the other side, I'm so sad that it's just a dream. It was only just a dream. But so thanks to this dream, I probably find the right motivation to record this first episode of my new podcast, Where Are You, Pete Davidson? And so let's start with, I don't know, I'm so amazed. I'm so happy. It seems that it was really in my house, in my parents' house, but I don't know if I saw him in dream in my parents' house or because it was really a funny thing that I was on my parents' house and he came through the scale. And I don't know, oh my god, I'm so confused. So let me try again to explain what the dream was about. So I was waiting in my parents' house that something would happen, probably, and at a certain point I was looking out of my little I don't know, there was maybe a window also opened from my parents' kitchen towards the upstairs and the scales, and I saw not Pete Davidson first. Or probably, yes, I was, I don't know, it's so embarrassing and it's so weird to talk about dreams because they are so, I don't know how to say, but they are so, if you are not able to remember, okay, so they are so fucking hard to remember and the details are fading away while you're trying to rethink about it. So I was in my parents' house, probably I was looking out of this window, which is not in real, in my parents' kitchen, and I saw Pete Davidson, who was in the garden, and he was kind of running, and I thought for sure that he was running to come to my house to find me, but it was not real. It was not the truth, but because he was running to reach his friend, which is Alex Pagano, probably one of his best friends. Alex Paganov. I'm sorry if my pronounce is not correct, but I didn't heard about his name, and he's probably one of the member of the cast of SNL while he was working there. And so I saw Alex Paganov was walking up to the second floor of my parents' flat. I don't know how to call them, but group of flats. And after him, there was Pete Davidson, who was walking also, and to the second floor. So I immediately opened my door of the house, and I remember this kind of scene. I was staring at Pete Davidson, and I probably mumbled something like, "Oh my God, is this the real one? Are you the real one, Pete?" And I tried to hug him, but it was real. I felt it. I felt him. I touched him, and then in a while we were on the second floor on their apartment, and I was talking to Pete Davidson, and he told me something like, "Oh, we always called him like, I don't know, maybe with his voice, but yeah, maybe we used to name this like, I don't know, but something like Po Vomitino." I don't know, let me tell you. He tried to explain in the dream, but I can't remember how he explained. Oh, probably I know, but it's something weird to tell you, so I shift this and I go forward. It's better. And it was something so weird, but I told him that, "Oh, you never tried my and I have to not tell you exactly what I told him. So it's something that we say each other, and very, very weird. And we started talking about something like the geography, the geography of Europe or Staten Island. What it was Staten Island? He was telling me that it was near something like Afghanistan, but I don't think so. But we were talking about these kind of crazy things, and it's not real. But oh my God! And then I woke up because I was so excited. I was so scared, and I was so happy. And now I'm crying because it's not real. It was only just a dream. So let me tell you that this kind of trip I made to New York, around New York, lead me one day, a special one day in Staten Island. Also, I felt like a dump because I left a letter, like, do you know I don't know, it's something really weird that I'm going to tell to you, but it happened. I really did it, and so I have to tell you, in order to find someone who can lead me, who can make me maybe Davidson finally. But it was only it's a big hope for me, but I trust this kind of, I believe in this kind of positive energy and all the events, coincidences and stuff that happened while I was there. And there were so magical coincidences. And so one day I decided to travel around Staten Island, but let me tell you that I didn't have a fucking guide with me, no maps, no nothing. I went to the South Ferry port, probably it's called like this, and I took the Staten Island ferry, which I know Davidson both one of the Staten Island ferry, but is out of working, so you have to take the working ones, and I took a ferry. And sorry, but it's so early here in the morning. Probably it's 7 a.m. In Italy, and I took the Staten Island ferry. I went to Staten Island. When I arrived, I felt like a big emotion. I felt like something very, I don't know how to explain, because it was so fucking special to me. I couldn't believe that I was in Staten Island. I mean, I saw that place only in movies, only I heard about Staten Island, and I saw, I tried to imagine to build like a kind of landscape, a kind of houses, and it was so completely different from which I tried to imagine. And it was so a quiet place. I really loved Staten Island. And well, when I was there, when I arrived in Staten Island, I was telling to myself, and now, where the fuck do you want to go? Where the fuck do you want to go? Yeah, and I arrived in Staten Island probably at 10 o'clock a.m. in the morning, and then at 2 o'clock I had to come to Broadway to see a show, because I bought tickets for Phantom of Opera at Broadway at the Majestic Theatre, but I decided to stay in Staten Island just to live the experience, to complete my travel, my trip, my short trip in Staten Island, because I figured out that I wanted to travel across the whole island. And so let me tell you what happened. So first thing you see when you go in Staten Island, it's like when you go out from the Staten Island ferry, it's like two big wings of a seagull just on the seaside and on the walking seaside. So you have to stop and stare at this, because it's a memorial of the Staten Island victims, of especially firemen who died in the terrible terrible tragedy of 9/11. And also you have a memorial, and you always probably know, the most famous one is where there were the Twin Towers, and now we have two like so big kind of swimming pool, but they're not swimming pool because they are empty, but they looks like two big swimming pool with this like very very slow amount of water that is still falling down inside their walls, like little waterfalls. And you have all the names of all the victims of the 9/11 of September 2001, and you have all the names marked in. And when I was reading all the name of the victim in the quiet place, I found also the name of the father of Pete Davidson, because also Pete Davidson lost his father, and his father is a victim. He was a fireman, and he was unfortunately a victim of the 9/11 tragedy. And it was so sad because I went to the memorial on 9/11 at the south of Manhattan in probably the 13th of August, and I went there also the next day, and there were 2 flowers, and I heard that Pete Davidson was in New York that day, was flying from Australia, where he was playing, he was recording, and there were this movie in which he was working, which is called Wizard. And the day exactly, like the 12th of August, he finished to work and he was flying back to New York. And the day after, so at the 13th of August, I went back to the memorial, and on the name, exactly at the beginning and at the ending of the first letter and the last letter of the name of probably Scott Matthew Davidson, there were 2 flowers, one black, one white, and one yellow flowers. And I thought that someone who really loved him left these 2 flowers, and I thought that probably Pete Davidson walked through the memorial to leave the 2 flowers over there on the name of his father. And it was so sad. But also in the memorial you can listen to the story of the father, and there is also like a kind of testimonials of his wife and mother, Pete Davidson. But moving forward, when I arrived at the memorial of 9/11 in Staten Island, I also found like a little stone face of his father, because each victim has a stone face with the name in the memorial, which is on the wall of these 2 big wings of it looks like a seagull who's looking exactly, it was staring at Manhattan, because if you see between the 2 wings, there is exactly the city of the South Manhattan. You can see the 9/11, the World Trade Center, and it was so sad. Sorry, I'm yelling. But going back to my trip in Staten Island, so I decided to walk without knowing exactly where I was going, but it was so emotional, and it was so special, and I felt like very oh my god, I don't know what to say, but very independent, because I didn't see tourists, I didn't see white people, I didn't see any kind of human around that area, and I felt like I was losing myself, and I don't know why I wasn't scared at all. So I decided to move on, and not to move on because I didn't have to move my house. I was there just to spend my holiday. And that day I decided to take I was also fascinated by all this kind of little house, different colors, all in specific, and in there were there is no I mean I was spending my second part of the holiday in while I was staying in Manhattan, and I can remember, yes, but it was so crowded, it was so chaotic, and coming from that kind of situation to Staten Island, which was so quiet, it makes me feel like a beautiful sense of quiet, peace, and I felt so good. It was so cool. And I decided to walk without knowing where I was going, because every kind of thing I was saying was so special, so nice. I also stopped to people, and I was asking to him, this happened when I arrived in the place where I found the Nino's Pizza. The Nino's Pizza and Tavern was restaurant, pizzeria and restaurant, in which were taken and were set in which were directed some scenes of the movie of Pete Davidson, The King of Staten Island. So I decided to follow my sensation, my I don't know what to say, but this kind of positive energy, and I decided to reach and to visit many places where the movies were set. So and I decided to take a bus and reach the Nino's Pizza. When I arrived, I remember exactly the outside of the building of that restaurant, because I saw in the King of Staten Island in the movie. And if you are curious about, you can watch The King of Staten Island. It's a really funny movie, and it's also, if you want to know something of the real story about Pete Davidson, you can find a lot of biographical details in the plot. And so I arrived at the Nino's Pizza after two people told me that I was going in the right direction, because I took the bus and I stopped at a certain point, and I don't know where I was. I only took a look to the maps on my Google search, but okay, I was so excited. I was walking through, and I was arrived at the Nino's Pizza, and I decided to go inside. It was like 11, probably 11, 11:30 in the morning, and my show at Broadway would have started in like 2 hours, but I decided to stay in Staten Island. I lost my show, but it was worth it, because I found very special people who were so kind with me, and they oh my god, I forgot to tell you that day before I went to Staten Island, I printed a white t-shirt I bought in one of the magazine of or shops, one of the shop in Times Square, which were full of gift and souvenir for people who come back from New York. And I decided to buy a white t-shirt. The only white t-shirt I found was the one which had some printed, the classic one, I Love New York. So I decided to print I Love Pete Davidson and New York, and I got I don't know where the fuck is now that t-shirt, because I threw away after my experience and my short trip in Staten Island. But the the sad story is that I met a lot of people who knew and are are linked to Pete Davidson, but I didn't always. And offshore, I didn't find Pete Davidson, so I was happy but also sad, and I decided that this shirt that I had to throw away the t-shirt, and I did it. I left my t-shirt probably in one of the basket garbage of the hotel. So I was walking. I took the ferry wearing the t-shirt, so other people could also notice that I was in love with Pete Davidson, because on the t-shirt there were printed I love Pete Davidson. Anybody seen him in Staten Island? Pete is the king of Staten Island. I love Pete the king. So it was very weird, but it was very funny. And I wore the t-shirt while I was working in on the ferry, and I was walking on the subway station. I was walking also around Staten Island. But then when I arrived in Delino's Pizza, also I was wearing the t-shirt when I was in Delino's Pizza, I met the owner of the restaurant, and it was, can you believe it? I don't know, but the owner was a old Italian woman. So I figured out that Pete Davidson really loves Italian kitchen, Italian food, because in that restaurant, apart from the fact that he worked, and if you watch the movie, you see Pete Davidson work in that restaurant. But the owner told me that Pete Davidson always come to that. He's really, I don't know, but in love with that restaurant. So he always came. In fact, she showed me a picture on his account, where there was the bartender with Pete Davidson, who was taking a pizza to take away. And so I was so excited let me tell you, I can't explain exactly how I felt. It was so emotional. And I talked with the woman, with the owner, and she was so kind, because I was feeling very weird, like a dump, and I was saying to myself, "Oh, no one will pay to use any kind of attention, because everybody can treat you like a crazy person." But no, people were so gently. People completely understand and feel the way I was feeling. So it was so nice. And also there were two young guys who were working, two waiters. I mean, really young, who also gave me my Caesar salad. It was so amazing. I really need to eat some fresh veggies, and they gave me like this kind of big salad, fresh salad, which Roman lettuce, and it's so amazing, with a kind of chicken fried and a lot of kind of Parmesan cheese, so perfect. Also the sauce they gave me with balsamic and some vinegar, and it was so amazing. But I was so amazed about the fact that the people didn't treat me like a crazy person or a completely fool person. So they also one of the young guy told me that the bartender in the restaurant was so near to Pete Davidson because he was a teacher, a football teacher of Pete when he was so young, when he he had lost his father. So I couldn't wait to finish my salad and to go to talk to him. But he was like, he was not about to share like a lot of information, and I perfectly understood, but I was so, it was enough for me that I met a lot of people who was knowing him, who talked to him, and I mean, I was in the restaurant, he was there like for the last time in the last March, and so it was enough for me. I decided to go to reach Tottenville, in which he was born and raised and born. And so I decided to go to Tottenville. I took the first bus and I reached Tottenville. And I mean, I have to share another episode because in the next episode I would talk about what happened in the second part of my short trip in Staten Island. And so, yep, I have to wake up and to have breakfast. I should take my cappuccino and go to work and think about my beautiful dream I made this early morning, and hope that one day I will meet Pete Davidson. I hope to meet him like maybe one of his show, because I went to the Tonight Jimmy Fallon show, and I also talked to the cast member that I was so in love, so they also know how much I care about Pete Davidson. And I hope that maybe if you ever probably listen to this podcast and you are familiar with Pete Davidson, please let me know this, or let me tell you. Oh yeah, I have to finish this episode talking about the letter I gave to him. In reality, I didn't give the letter to him because I told you that I didn't find him in Staten Island. But the last day of my trip in New York, I went back to Staten Island and I left a letter. I tell you where in the next episode if you are interested in knowing where was the letter, where I left the letter. Listen to this, episode number 2. Goodbye.